Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler was the first black woman physician in the United States. Dr. Crumpler earned her degree from the New England Female Medical College in Boston, Massachusetts. It is important to note that she would be the only black graduate from the school. So not only was she breaking boundaries by being a woman in the medical field, but at this time she was the only black woman. Although not much is mentioned about the discrimination she faced, one can only imagine being the only black woman in a field so dominated by white men. It just goes to show the quality of a person she was, as she never let the enduring oppression stop her from doing what was necessary and working with her talents to assist those in need. Dr. Crumpler likely took after her aunt, the woman who raised her. As a young girl, she was able to see her aunt care for the sick people around her, which likely inspired her exploration of medicine. Although born in the state of Delaware and raised in Pennsylvania, before college, Rebecca went to a prestigious private school in Massachusetts. Considering the nature of the world around her, it was imperative that Rebecca stood out as a young girl who not only was extremely intelligent, but worked very well with the people around her. Once graduated, she immediately began practicing in Boston, but decided to move where she saw the greatest need. So, soon she began working with the Freedmen's Bureau promptly after the end of the Civil War in Richmond, Virginia, in order to help newly free black people gain confidence in their independence by ensuring their health and well-being. Dr. Crumpler then moved back to Boston, where her focus was concentrated on women and children, another marginalized group. It was then when she began her two-part publication of A Book of Medical Discourses, in which she discussed issues of health among women and children and what could be done to help them. Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler substantially changed the course of medicine to allow some focus on women and children. Understanding medical concerns of women and children was critical, as much of the research done for medicine was conducted in a way that would only benefit men. So, forcing a shift that included women and children allowed further discussion and improved health care for these groups. Similarly, Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler successfully opened the gates for many black women in medicine after her. However, black women today in medicine and in care by medicine still face a considerable dilemma. According to Forbes, only 2% of all physicians in the United States are black women, which may be an indication for the mistreatment of black women who seek medical help. Black women physicians are a necessity as they could better connect and communicate with other black women. But institutionalized racism and sexism pushes back against both black women who want to become doctors and black women who seek medical help. Today, black women are among the most marginalized groups in the United States. One of the largest institutions that this can be recognized in is the healthcare system. If you have not heard a terrible account of a black woman being neglected in healthcare or heard the horrifying statistics that surround black women in medicine, you probably have not been listening. Black women are consistently disregarded in medicine, often ignored, which leaves a flurry of medical issues to arise. Many black women are not listened to during processes of pain management or simply not believed when discussing their issues, which leaves many to continue to deal with the medical issues they had hoped could be resolved when they went out of their way to seek help. One of the most well-known medical fears among black women is that of childbirth. According to An American Health Dilemma, A Medical History of African Americans and the Problem of Race, Beginnings to 1900, black women are much more likely to die during childbirth or undergo a miscarriage. This is a direct consequence of the carelessness and racism that is conducted by the healthcare system and is in no way the fault of any black women and entirely the fault of the people who are supposed to be caring for them. This great discrepancy is important to recognize, though some choose to simply ignore it. Despite its fatal consequence, it is of utmost importance and significance. It is vital that this issue is identified and solved, because as this problem continues to flourish, black women continue to get hurt. The piece I created was to memorialize and celebrate the success in life of Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler. Her achievements should not be overlooked, as she willingly faced intense racism and sexism to improve the lives of others by becoming a physician. Some tried to erase her presence, as seen by the lack of a marked gravestone at her burial site. I created a portrait of her as her face is seldom shown or recognized in order to bring a spirit of humanity and greatness that emanated from her life. I also included the text from the cover page of her book, A Book of Medical Discourses, where I replicated the same font and intentionally emphasized the text that reminded us the publication was written by Rebecca Crumpler, a medical doctor. Behind the text, I sketched a drawing of the New England Female Medical College, where Dr. Crumpler received her degree and was among a small number of women to do so, and was the only Black woman to do so. Along with this, I painted an intense orange light that would be added to surround Dr. Crumpler's head in order to highlight and celebrate Dr. Crumpler as a woman who radiated intelligence and humanity, a person who fulfilled more accomplishments than the average person. Finally, I added the year of her birth and the year of her passing to somewhat symbolize a gravestone, one that she did not yet get, something she did not have until recently, but more than well deserved. So, we should remember the name of the first Black woman physician in the U.S., Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler. Let her story also bring light to the discrimination Black women face in healthcare, both as practitioners and as those who receive treatment. We should celebrate her life and achievements, talk about her often, and use her as a historic icon to encourage the Black women around us.